Greetings and salutations. Man, I'm on a roll today. This video is going to be super short and it's just going to be a quick kind of definition or talking point about biodomes. So I'm looking at the atlas and let's say I'm looking for a certain biodome to breed a certain kind of animal, or I'm looking for I'm a big proponent of not telling people what they are until they go there and explore it. And then once they've explored it, then they have the goods on it, right? So, um, in a couple ways to do this is like right here. I'm trying to figure out what biodome I am, and it doesn't say anywhere on here what biodome. And if I wanted to even like do it right, land information, there's nothing in here that says what what bi what biodome it is. And so it would be a benefit to um have that on the map. I know it says something as you zone in, so we'll double check that because they changed the map, and before it was kind of easy to remember what the biodomes were, and it wasn't as prevalent because the whole segues of the map, and you can kind of tell what they are a little bit by the color of the islands. Like, it's obviously the brown up here is desert, and this looks like it's jungle. But let's see if it says what biodome when I zone into the zone. But it needs to say it on the map too in some way. Like maybe it's in that mouse over description, or let's see what it says right here. I'm zoning in. This is B3. Travel to region B3. Okay. I don't see anything. Yeah, it doesn't say. I think it used to say. I think, see, this is desert. You can tell this is desert because of the brown water. Um, and so it kind of segued into a different biodome. And there's some pretty big characteristic differences. Like traditionally, you get those heat waves in the desert where you get no air, and so if you're doing like mass transit, you want to stay out of the desert because you maintain a high speed. If you get in the tropical, you hit those hurricanes which can sink your ship, but you get those long stretched out currents, those wind flows, so you can travel. I've done things up to 22 knots on a ship that normally does 15 knots, hitting a hurricane and just being able to stretch that wind out. Um, so the biodome and planning your route has a really big functionality to it, but it doesn't talk about it. There's nothing in here that says what biodome I'm in. And I think that needs to be. I mean, if it said it in here, it says the owner, says the settlement, uh, and it says the taxation rate, but it could say what biodome it was there. But even though islands aren't really connected to the zone, it should say. I mean, I don't know if this is the right thing, but maybe as a text thing right here on the top, it was like desert, Southwest desert, and it just said it. Or once you've been into the tile, then you have an information panel where it says what biodome it is, and you kind of get into that Wikipedia aspect of it to where maybe there's a link here that you click on and it takes you to the Wikipedia. But you kind of drive that information, commerce, those characteristics of the game, because there's a lot of depth in this game that is kind of glazed over, and people don't have a high success rate, so they end up leaving the game because they don't understand that you can only breed elephants in a temperate and tropical biodome, and you can only do bears in a I'm sorry, I said that wrong, but you get what I mean. Like it's one of those deals where it shouldn't have to be as convoluted as it is, and go to a wiki, and because especially with the new map, and I had a hard time getting my head wrapped around what the new map was, and I had to screenshot the login menu in order to because once when you create your character, you see the map, but then you don't see that actual map again in the game, and so you lose that information because it doesn't say what biodome it is in. Anyways, I think I've kind of articulated the issue here and fleshed it out to a certain extent. So I think a lot of folks will agree with me that it's a little convoluted now. Before it made sense, it was everything above the equator was this, and everything below it was this, and the top and bottoms were polar regions. But now it's just super convoluted. Again, thanks for watching. Feedback is always welcome. Let me know what you think. All right.